Hi, Dr. Adrian. This is Jasmine Norton here, doing my presentation virtually from New York, actually. And I am presenting on Chapter 12, Striving for Engaged and Effective Intercultural Communication. So, against tradition, I wanted to start my presentation a little backwards. And I also wanted to feel like I was presenting amongst my class like I typically would have. So I asked one of my friends to join me in my presentation, whom will remain anonymous. Well, visually anonymous. But we're going to have a discussion to start off, just discussing intercultural communication and the competencies behind that. So we'll start off with a few questions that I have, and we'll just kind of have a dialogue about that as we go on. So the first question I have is, how does your own social position, gender, class, age, or so forth, influence your intercultural communication competence?
Well, for me personally, I take interest in researching a lot of different topics, cultures, and places, and other races. And actually residing in the nation's melting pot encourages me to put my study to good use. You just never know where you'll end up, on the bus stop, on the train, at work, and you kind of spark up a conversation with somebody who just may be from somewhere else or is something else that you're not. So, you know, if you have a little bit of knowledge about everything, I find it very easy to engage in conversations with the people that live here. And that's everybody.
Right, I agree with that. As me newly living here, I find that the cultural awareness of all races is much more kind of like a demand, and you have to, because I mean, just like at my hotel, like, you know, we have, you know, my GM is African American. You know, one of the directors of sales is Indian, and there's a woman who's Dominican.
It's everybody.
Exactly. So, you know, I mean, just in my office alone, there's three of us, and we're all three different, you know, cultures. And this, you know, and we all come from different places. I'm from Baltimore. One of them is originally from New Jersey. He spent some time in Florida, and then another one is from Indiana. So even like you know, even if we were all the same race, just the culture of being raised and born in Indiana or from Jersey still would have an effect.
Yeah, I definitely.
So another question I wanted to ask is, describe an instance when you have had to indulge in intercultural communication, and what was that encounter like?
Oh my gosh, so this summer I went to London for the first time. Oh my gosh, I was so excited. And I thought it was, you know, going to be easy breezy because I had never been, and I also was going to spend some time in Paris when I went. So I thought that going to England would be a very easy transition, like, because I speak English and that's my first language. So I thought it would be the same when communicating with people. I was in for a rude awakening, obviously, because I was coming from Buckingham Palace to see the change of the guard. And they have, you know, little street people out selling bus tickets for the tours and things like that. So I took advantage of this bus company that gave a tour. The tour was not to my liking. You know, it wasn't all what they said it was going to be. So, you know, us Americans, we escalate everything, and we want what we want when we want it. We are very demanding culture. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I thought I could do the same thing with that. Now, I live in New York, so we are very colorful with our language, and I thought that I could be that. And I found out that day that it is illegal to swear at people, so they threatened to call the authorities on me, and it was a very humbling experience. I was just like, oh, authorities, so
never mind.
You know, keep the money. I learned quick that day that you just can't try to be yourself. Not that you can't be yourself, but you can't expect that everybody is going to accept what is acceptable where you reside or where you're from. So That was my experience.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, especially towards the end of your statement about, trying to, I guess, like force the usual circumstances into every situation. And the chapter actually talks about that, kind of like this unconscious incompetence,
Yeah.
which is, in a sense, and I'll touch on it more in further down in the presentation, but unconscious incompetence is like, indulging in a dialogue or communication and not being aware of how it may offend someone or how it may not be received well, and not even understanding why.
Yeah, my friends were quick on it. They were like, "Girl, let's go, let's go."
Right. So I'm trying to think of an experience I may have had. I feel like as far as being receptive of other cultures and things like that, I'm pretty good at, especially in travel. And I think that a lot of people are only tolerant of accepting other cultures when it comes to travel, but not so much in the daily
life,
basis, right? Like when you go to travel, it's like you want to eat this food that they're known for. You want to go and listen to their music that they listen to. For instance, when we went to Puerto Rico, we were like eating Puerto Rican food and wanted to listen to
bean for the rest of the year.
to that kind of music and drinking pina coladas, but it's like our tolerance for that may not necessarily be so open-minded and widespread on a daily basis. For instance, like, although it can be frustrating, but like, for instance, if we just simply ask someone for directions somewhere or something like that, and they may have a strong like accent or language barrier, and we kind of just dismiss them so quickly because, we don't know what they're saying or don't have time to make out what they're saying. And so I think in a sense it is good that we can be interculturally, acceptive in travel or in music. I think those two elements.
Agreed.
Or sports. Sports.
Yeah, because what's the guy that does the running from Jamaica? But whatever, yeah.
Or soccer, we've established a lot. Or especially like the Olympics. There's so many sports that I didn't even realize existed until I watched the Olympics this past summer. And that's another thing that, allows us to be culturally engaged and well-rounded, but we have to learn to have that same patience and tolerance when it comes to just communicating on a daily basis. But I do think that, us living here in, like you said, the nation's melting pot allows us to be kind of engulfed in that a little bit more than when we lived in Maryland or Baltimore.
Yeah.
So the next question I had was, and I feel like we probably even covered this, but how is intercultural competence helpful in your personal life?
Well, for me, my livelihood is very personal, so, and that's my career. So with that, I work for an infrastructure technology company, and I work actually really closely with my CEO, and he's from Israel. Mm-hmm. So, we just don't do everything the same, and, he's very loud and obnoxious, and, I'm black, so I'm loud and obnoxious too sometimes, but, I think that I have a better handle on expressing myself and being able to communicate effectively. Because there's a time and a place for everything, and I don't feel that always we need to be loud and obnoxious, especially not work in a professional setting. Mm-hmm. A lot of the clients I encounter are doctors and nurses who come from different backgrounds, culturally, of course. So being culturally competent is a necessity for me in my line of work. Right. Just even conversing with people over the phone and just working with, I have a team of about 20 people, and everybody comes from all different walks of life, all different classes, all different races and ethnicities, and, it's just kind of like necessary to be able to express yourself, and that it is received on the other end, no matter where the person is from or, what they do. You just, it's all in the delivery diversity.
Yeah, and another point that you made that the chapter references is I guess the dilemma of kind of being within a group of power.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times people who are within a powerful, point or position in life, they tend not to feel or understand the importance of learning a different culture. It's kind of like they, I guess for lack of a better word, would rather someone try and get to know them because they are this powerful person.
Kind of like when we go to, I don't know, Walmart, and we ask a stock person for, hey, do you know where I can find this? And then when they don't speak English, we just want to send them money. We're like, no thanks, I'll find it myself.
Right.
Only I think it's because, when we go to other places, all of the signs are in whatever language it is. That's the language where they are. Versus when you come to America, everybody kind of expects like, oh, this is America. So they'll put signs up in 15 different languages to make everybody comfortable. But, they don't. I don't think they do that in a lot of other countries. So, I mean, I know, me personally, I always want somebody to know and speak English to me because we are in America. That is our language. So.
Right. Yeah. So I understand what you were saying, but the point that I was trying to get at more so was like, for instance, take Donald Trump for instance.
Donald Trump.
If you had to equate him kind of in a sense to your boss, his cultural, I guess, closed-mindedness is very much associated with his class and his,
classism.
Yeah, his classism. And so he's probably standing from a perspective of like, well, you should be getting to know me. I shouldn't be getting to know you, which is probably why you, being in a different class of your boss, being of a different race, even being a female, allows you that kind of like that soft spot in a sense, or like that understanding or that tolerance to know when and where to be a little bit more aggressive in your speaking, or when to be passive and think, which maybe the reason why your boss has put you in the place that you have, because he may not be able to find that balance
himself.
Right, but he, has put people in place to do that on his behalf. So to answer that for myself, as far as intercultural competence and being helpful in my personal life, I think it's helpful in my personal life for the sake of work as well, because I work in hospitality, corporations from
in Times Square.
And in Times Square, I work with corporations from Ernst & Young, Morgan Stanley, to a Scientology-style religious group called Happy Science, and they were Japanese, and just being acceptive to that, and realizing what our relationship is in that situation helps me to be of better service to them. Yeah. Not being judgmental, not being, like, what is this just because it's not what I practice or because it's not what I indulge in. So with that being said, this brings me into the actual presentation. So to start off, we're going to discuss components of competence. So there's a particular attitude and behavior, as we've discussed in our conversation, that you must possess in order to be a good intercultural communicator. So in the chapter, it discussed different perspectives. It started off discussing social science perspectives, and there are 4 main perspectives that you should, that a person must kind of possess in order to be that well-rounded and good intercultural communicator. So it started off with motivation. And at first I didn't understand, because I literally just read the word motivation and I was like, what?